Black, do I look well? 51 today, Black. Look what I get. What was the what's it? Okay.
Can we stop for 1 second?
Okay.
We stay here now. And again.
And again.
At the county, provincial and All Ireland flags. And he also adjudicated, and he did MC at many concerts. So he's a wonderful man, and I want you all to give him a big hand.
What Pat's own work was, songwriting, poetry writing, storytelling, and the rest of it, far more than what I know. But that is why we are here to honour Pat today. He has given his stuff freely to anybody who asked for help in this regard. To be able to recognise his work on slate, on stone, and that is good.
Thank you very much. August, go more Carolyn Fair. I am absolutely delighted, and I thank the committee for inviting me here to say a few words about a man called Pat Brosnan, who lives out in Atay, a neighbour of my own. And I can't think of anyone who is more entitled to be honoured by Gary McMahon again than Pat Brosnan, because himself and Gary have a lot in common. We both come from North Kerry, both made the arduous journey across the river to Limerick and survived. And both of them great composers, and they leave us a great legacy of stuff. I once, when I was teaching, I used to break the ice, I'd ask the question, what is the oldest musical instrument? And the kids used to always like coming along with whistles, one-string fiddles and harps and everything. And of course, it was a kind of a trick question, because the oldest musical instrument is the human voice. And as long as me have been able to talk, they've been able to sing. And that's one thing about singing, is that most people can actually do it. And like every other walk of life, some are good, some aren't very good, some are very awful, but they sing away and they get enjoyment from it. So singers would be nowhere without composers, because we didn't know songs to sing. So therefore, for the likes of Pat and Gary McMahon and all the singers in Clifford and all the rest of these, we owe a great debt of gratitude, because they give us the chance to relive what they wrote. And I think that history is recorded by these people in so many ways. Anyway, just a few brief words about Pat. I'll have to get my eyes now, because I can't see that without him. 1926. So that today is his birthday. I think we have some little bit of a cake or something, Pat, I think, for that. We couldn't get enough candles on. Anyway, Pat was born, and if you look at the year 1926, and you think that there's a recession on now, you want to go back to them times. Because if you like, it was between two world wars. We recovered from the first one. There was literally no money around. It was as simple as that. Times were really, really hard for everybody. The state was only in its infancy as well, trying to find its feet. And there was no employment or anything like that, not like you have today. Life was fairly simple, I suppose, in some ways, but it was very, very difficult and hard in other ways. which no electricity, no running, no waters and taps, none of that stuff like that we have to take for granted today. No transport, no motor cars, no all this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Pat. Happy birthday to you. Wife, Maureen Linehan and Pat Brosnan from Dingle with a great love for the Irish language and that. Now, obviously Pat took a great interest in language at the time, because when he went to the Tech Interview after that, in the English exam he got 90%. Which I don't know, was that an A+ or something now in today's is one of the highest marks that we get. So it's clear that he had a love for the language. In 1942 then Pat went to nursing school in Warden Point, up in the north. And he tells me that they played football on one pitch, and next door to him the British Army were playing soccer. So they mingled with him there. Now he returned to Kerry and took a job with Kerry County Council as a stoker. And if you want to know what a stoker was, back in those days it was all steam engines, and all the rollers and the breakers and all were driven by steam, and they had to be fired up in the morning early. So Pat was have to go in. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, Pat. 5 o'clock in the morning, and have the steam well up by the time they came in to start work. And by a funny coincidence now, another man who took a job at the same time as a stoker was none other than the late Dan Money Kane, another great composer and songwriter. So Kerry County Council didn't know what they had working for them at the time. Now Pat wasn't content to stay around again. Off he went in 1945 to Rathfarnham Castle on the Jesuit indoor staff for a year. He came back to Kerry in 46. That was a very, very bad year, as any of you can remember. And he went into partnership with his brother Sean. If you know Airgun Pond, there's plenty turf back there, which was a natural resource. And they went into partnership, cutting and saving and selling turf. A year later he went back to Dublin and worked with the Carmelites in Terranure College, indoors and outdoors. And while there he played football with St. Patrick's at Farnham. In the winter of 48, he went back to Kerry. His father had built a new house in Ramada Beg. And again he worked in the bogs. Until in the spring of 50 he got a job as an agent for New Ireland and Irish National Insurance, selling insurance door to door. Another man who was doing that at the same time was a fellow called Danjo Ballet from Brosnan, my father. So there's a lot of coincidences happening here anyway. So they were selling insurance at the time. I suppose there was only sixpences and shillings at that stage. You know. It was a great, at the time people were great for taking out insurance on children. So that when they became of age, they would have out there for their education, whatever it was. Now, from 49, he wrote notes for the Byron Compon notes for the Kerryman, and for Knocknagoshel as well, because there was nobody writing it for Knocknagoshel. And he started writing verses and other articles, and the only one being Down by the Smeal Side, which was published in the Kerryman. And the next act was used by John B. Kane in one of his books. He also wrote for other, like the Limerick Weekly Echo. May 1957 went to England and worked as a student nurse in Aston Hall, Aston and Trent, Derbyshire. This was a hospital for the mentally handicapped. While there he wrote articles for an English newspaper. Now he came home again for the All-Ireland in 59. That was a game between Kerry and Dublin. Galway, sorry, Kerry and Galway. And he stayed in the stall at Flaherty's. They had a B&B in the stall. Maureen Flaherty from Dilla was one of them, and she later married Nicky Quinn from Temple-Hat-Hay. The night before they were to go to Dublin for the Ireland, there was a Sinn Féin Céilí in Hat-Hay. And Pat went to the Céilí, and that changed his life. Because of that Céilí, he met a girl called Mary Nomwell from Colin who was later to become Pat's wife. So Hat-Hay was his undoing in one way and the making of him in another way. Do you remember the match, Pat? And they were married by Father Moriarty in Athea on the 19th of November 1960. And now, they didn't go to the Bahamas or any place like that for the honeymoon. They were kind of scarce commodities in those days. But Pat got a van and they toured Kerry. And they went all around the country. They both worked for a while in a shop in Knocknagourna. So Mary had come from Kerry and she'd worked with her relations in the shop and had been closed for a while then. But they opened the shop again anyway when they came back. And they kept it going for a few years. And then eventually they went back to England, where Pat worked as a nurse in mental subnormality in Flaxburton in Somerset. And they lived in one of the staff houses there. Now they came back to Athea in 1965 and reopened the shop in Knocknagourna, which they ran for several years. Pat also worked for the ESB, reading meters in North Kerry and West Limerick. And after the year, he stopped that to take up a position as a nurse in charge of a day centre for retarded boys in John Street, Limerick. The unit was part of St Gabriel's, which was in St Joseph Street in Limerick. In February '71, he took a job with the Limerick Leaders correspondent for Athea, a job he is doing to the present day. He also did work for the Limerick Weekly Echo and the Limerick Times, and he did the national census from 70 to 91. He was also a convener for the ICMSA for some time, and he gave instruction in first aid to various groups. Pat is a great community worker. He started off in his early days as secretary and chairman of Smealer Rangers and Lyre GA clubs. And he organised the Smealer Side Players Concert Group. When he came to Athea, he joined the GAs straight away, and over the years he held every position except treasurer. And he told me they wouldn't trust him with the money. And he has been and still is our chairman for the last number of years. I don't know how long it is now, but he's not much retired yet, he told me anyway, he's still there. And he also was in the credit union. He was secretary of the credit union and on the board of directors and chapter delegate until fairly recently. And he also was secretary of the community games for 10 years. And of course he was a staunch member of the Pioneers. And he was a member of Athea Community Council as well for 3 years. The civil defence was another one of his loves. And for 30 years he worked in civil defence, and he became chairman of the Limerick Retired Civil Defence Association for 4 years. So he founded a group called Ceol Dimní, and they did and still do great work in visiting hospitals and nursing homes and all that, and putting on concerts for people, and the whole nights in various different places. And they have great music and singing and storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So he has been involved in every capacity that he could possibly do, and he was even you couldn't invite him to go to mass because he'd be taking up the collection. Now, to go back to his ability as a composer and a writer, there are a few better around the place in actual fact, because over the years he has been a constant entrant in the newly composed ballad in the Flageoles. Now he has won the county title for his newly composed no fewer than 22 times. He's been Limerick County champion. He has 7 Munster titles in that, and even though in that Ireland eluded him, he was placed third on 3 different occasions. So that's a great achievement, I think, for anyone to have, and a great record. Occasions. And in 2011, he was honoured by the Munster Council of CCE with the Graham Award for services to Comhaltas. Now, he has a lovely little book that I have brought with me here today. It gives an idea of what the man is capable of. He undertook a task to write limericks for every part of Limerick, because he wanted to have limericks in the place that the name came from. Now he explains in the book as well that they mightn't come from Limerick, mightn't be the place to give birth to them at all, like, but anyway, sure, we'll take it for granted that Limerick is where they came from. Now this is the little book I'm talking about here, and if anyone can get their hands on it, he goes through all the parishes in Limerick, you could say, and he touches on every one of them. And in the very first bit of the book, he gives it, in his introduction, he gives the lowdown on a limerick, what a limerick is. We don't like them too smart or long-winded. But this one is not cute, but to tell you the truth, I can't think of a good way to end it.